Okay, now we've got sort of a gateway and our guides in place, and we're quite comfortable with the grounding work as well. It's time to actually start journeying. One of the key elements to get clear in our minds before we start journeying is why we're journeying in the first place. It sounds a bit of a silly thing to say, like, well, I'm going journeying because I want to learn to go journeying so I can use it in my life, which is a very good reason, but if you go into the middle world, which is where we're going to enter, without sort of a set purpose in mind and without really looking for something, you do tend to find it can be a bit difficult. You kind of enter and you just kind of float around for a bit. And your guide kind of looks at you and goes, well, I don't know what we're doing here either. And, there's nowhere really to go with that. So what I would say is, before you go any further, decide on a topic or a question that you want insight into, some sort of situation in your life that you need to get more insight into, that you want to look at maybe what's going to happen down the road in the future, but have a cause in mind, have something that you're working towards, and have that very clear and very simply stated within your mind going into any journey. Don't make it overcomplicated any either. Keep it as quite a basic statement of what you want to find out. So, where is my career going to be by the end of this year? It's specific, so you know what you're looking for, but it doesn't overcomplicate it. If you try and keep you can keep that in your head quite easily and keep that in your consciousness as you're working without too much effort. If you had something in your head like, at the end of this year, am I going to be working in admin or retail, and will I be in Leeds or Manchester? That's a little bit of a lot to have up there and have at the forefront of your mind entering into something. So, be specific, but at the same time, keep it quite simple and have that in your head, and try and keep it at the forefront of your mind, building up to the actual journey itself. And certainly going into the journey, have it very clear in your thoughts. One of the other things we need to kind of talk about before you try journeying is the fact that journeying cannot be fully scripted or guided, simply because we don't know, every time you go in there you're going to be shown something different. Every time you go to the other world, it's going to take a different path. You're going to be looking for something different. You're going to be shown different visions and images and given different messages, which obviously means that this is a little bit of a break from everything we've been doing so far. All the meditations we've done have been quite well guided, and they've been quite well scripted. So there is that break in things now. Obviously, the meditation that we do as part of this is partly guided. Basically, it involves me talking you up to the point of entering the middle world, and then also kind of brings you back and lets you kind of get regrounded here again. So that it is partially scripted, but actually entering the middle world and your journey, it can't be guided, it can't be scripted. It's going to be different every time and for every person. So there's no way to do that, So that is going to be a bit of a break from everything we've done so far. And it does kind of throw up some interesting questions, because people are, they're like, well, I don't know if I can see it without someone telling me what's there. And it will come. It's just a case of, trusting your instincts. Don't panic too much. People often, their first go journeying, if you don't get anything, don't panic. Just go with the rest of the meditation, wait for it to reground you, and try it again, because people do tend to, for some reason, get themselves all flustered, and I don't know why, because it's not, the only person that's there with you is you and your guide. No one's kind of judging every single thing you do. No one's they're monitoring it, and there's no one to tell you what is a right or wrong, and there isn't any right or wrong with this. You know, there's no correct thing to say or correct order to say them in. It is, you know, what works for you. There is also no set time length. Within the guided meditation, there's about 10 minutes of journeying time, which basically I decided upon as an good kind of average length for people who are just getting into journeying. Personally, I go on really short journeys. I can be away for like 2 minutes and back again. And I know quite a few people like this. It is, for me, journeying is kind of a case of being bombarded by images. It is like flash, 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 and then work out the meaning and put them all together. That's not the same for everybody. And you know, some people do go on these really long journeys. You know, I speak to other practitioners who and people who teach the courses, and they go on journeys for like an hour. They're off. You know, they write off an afternoon to go on a journey. And again, that's not right or wrong. It's just different people experience things in very different ways. And again, this goes back to what we discussed in the kind of meditation tips in trusting what you see, and you just have to trust that everyone sees things differently as well. We won't all experience things and get given messages in the same way. You know, just as your communication with your spirit guide can be actual talking, or, you know, it can be kind of a telepathic communication. The way that you're given images when you go on journeys and the way that the messages are delivered to you can be massively different as well. You know, for me, I always get shown images that represent things, and then I have to kind of build, you know, they stay with me, and then when I do my diary, I kind of decipher it as I go back through it. You do, when I'm there, I do get kind of very intuitional sense of the general emotions and outcomes of the message, but the specifics and the exact message has to be sort of deciphered a little bit later on for me. Other people will go into the other world, and they'll be shown kind of little like movie clips, people have described them to me as before, or little snapshots. You know, they'll be. The other thing that's really important to kind of start doing at this point, if you haven't already, is recording your experiences whilst kind of journeying and in meditative states. This is really key and really important. Obviously, as you look sort of further down, the resources with the course, that there is some templates there for diary type pages, in order to help you keep a record of what you see, and also to help you work out the meaning of what you're seeing. A lot of people do experience the message that are given to them in the way that I do, is kind of symbolic images. And people kind of get a bit confused about this. They're like, right, I need some sort of big book that tells me the meaning of everything I'm seeing. Dream diary, things like the dream meaning books can be a little bit, you know, helpful in this. If you really kind of have no idea what something's symbolising, it can be a good starting point. But certainly do not rely on these kind of things in order to get the meaning out of the images that you're seeing. Everybody will have, over their life, built up certain emotional connections to different objects and different images, and these very much colour what is shown to us. You know, the other world is very aware of what we've experienced, you know, even though we're just getting in touch with it now. You know, it's very linked to us, and it will kind of play on those personal connections and emotional connections to things, in a way that it will avoid showing you things that you have maybe a irrational or unsubstantiated negative connection to. You know, so something that you might associate with something negative, even though everyone else sees it in a really positive light, it'll kind of avoid you getting mixed up. And the best way to do this, I mean, if you look at the templates I've put below, they kind of take you through this process. So even if you want to keep your own diary, which is quite a nice thing to do, they're handy to use when you're starting out, just to help you pull the meanings out of what you're seeing and to help you build up the story. It is an example. I'm going to kind of talk you through kind of how I decipher a vision that I had. I always use the same one because it's quite a random series of visions to be given, and it actually has a very clear meaning at the end of it, and it's quite easy. I always use this for an example. I was contemplating whether or not I should make a decision and whether or not my life should go down a certain path. And you know, whether I should really take the chance, and it did kind of at the time feel like I was standing on the edge of a cliff waiting to see if I can fly or not. And I went on a journey to try and get more insight into it and find out, you know, what I should do. And I found myself stood on a beach at night, and the first thing I saw was a butterfly. And then I looked and I saw a lighthouse, and then I realised the lighthouse didn't have its light turned on. And when I saw that the lighthouse didn't have its light turned on, I thought, actually it looks prettier without the light. And then my guide said, right, time to get back. I was like, oh, that was quick. Came back, and then I sat, and obviously I'd been doing it a while, so I kind of knew what it meant quite quickly off the top of my head, but talking you through it, butterflies, when you see a butterfly, they're always kind of flitting around, and you know, they change from these funny little caterpillars and lovely big butterflies, and they're transforming and they're flitting, and that obviously to me meant, right, well, the situation that I'm asking about and the way that it is now is obviously going through some transformations. It's changing, it's flitting, it's not remaining still, it's in a period of movement at the minute. So I have to kind of maybe wait for that to settle down a bit before I make any hard and fast decisions. Looking at the lighthouse, lighthouses are there to give warnings and to say, you know, keep back, and you know, they're there to stop ships getting wrecked and people getting hurt, which is really good, but mine had the light turned off. And when I saw that the light was turned off, I actually thought it looked better. So to me, that kind of said, you know, you need to turn off your internal warning systems. You're panicking over nothing. You have to open yourself up to the possibility of getting hurt. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve anything, and that's what's holding you back. So that's the way that got deciphered. And like I say, it's very much about thinking, right, what do I associate with what I'm seeing? What do I personally, it's a bit like a word association game, you know, if you see a ball, what's the first word you think of? That's the way to do it. And also how you feel when you saw it, because sometimes things can be good or bad. Another example of this is I went through a phase of seeing foxes a lot. Both in images, and I would keep like seeing their images in clouds and stuff, which is a side effect of journeying a lot. You do start seeing random images and stuff and getting little messages through here, there and everywhere. And foxes, depending on your emotional response when you see them, can be either very good or a bit if you see them and you're really happy to see them and they fill you with confidence, normally they mean, you know, you're about to pull off something really clever, and you're about to find a really good way of doing something, and you're going to be very cunning and very clever and very quick about something, and it's going to really pay off for you. If you see them and they make you feel nervous or worried or scared, it can mean someone is maybe about to deceive you, or you know, they're about to kind of be a little bit sneaky, and it's going to have an impact on you. So obviously there's two huge different meanings depending on your initial emotional response to when you see it. So again, it's very important to record that, as well as just what you're seeing. You know, what did you see? How did you feel about it? And they're the key points to put down. But yet, one of the most important things you can do is to keep a diary, because also sometimes you will find a common theme recurring over a series of different journeys, and it'll maybe change slightly. You know, like I would say, you know, it at one point, every time I walked into the middle world, I would walk past a plant, and it started really little and it got bigger and bigger, and then it had a flower, and then it was dead, that really wasn't a good time. And then and then it kind of receded itself and came back a bit, and that again, you know, it at first I had no idea what this was relating to, but for some reason it drew my attention, so I put it in my diary. And then I started to notice a pattern. I started to notice that actually that's connected to your career and your work. And it was quite important. So, you know, if I hadn't have put that little thing in and I hadn't have kept a diary over a period of time, I would never have seen that pattern, and I would have never come up, kind of saw that connection that was there. So that's the other reason that diaries are really important. So if you haven't started keeping one yet, start keeping one. And you know, the templates that you know you get with this course are, they're designed to kind of help you with the interpretation as well as just the recording. So even if you know you've got a really nice diary to use, it is nice to have something with a personal connection. You know, use the sheets as well for a bit, just till you get your head around that interpretation and that way of doing things.